Hello everyone, this is DavidViadel23 and welcome to the Mandragon's Cave. Today we are gonna be analyzing One Piece 1189, King of the World. There is a lot of things. There are a lot of things going on in this episode. As you can see for the miniature, I'm gonna draw weapons today. Some of these mysterious and magical weapons mentioned in the episode. Okay, so we have more or less this area to work. So I wanna do the sword that Sommers had, plus the lance that Qilingham has as well. So I'm gonna do maybe like a X, something like this, like the pirate X. And we're gonna start trying to do as well the perspective, like similar to what we see in a screen, okay? So, the cover, we have Nami with three monkeys, a caricature of Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji that it's about, you know, the concept of not being able to hear, see, or speak, and Nami is complaining about some dirty clothes that the monkeys have just messed up, basically. I don't think it's much relevant for anything. It's more in the sense of the focus at the moment in the story is in these three guys. These three guys are the ones fighting. The rest of them are just holding whatever is happening in Elbaf. And kind of the way that Oda may have for us to see that these three guys are the main characters, and Nami needs to have some sort of role here as well. I find it interesting because Oda sometimes does random things, sometimes not. So, as we start the episode, we have a problem. We left the previous one with Luffy being pierced by Imu's weapon, okay? And a magical weapon, Murasama, that is gonna basically suck all your energy and deplete you. Something similar to what Crocodile is doing with the sand, that he is basically taking away all the water from a person, from an animal, from a plant, okay? So I compare a lot this way of fighting and this storytelling with what happens with Crocodile in Arabasta, okay? With the whole scene that we will see, kind of having to defeat Imu multiple times to reach to the final fight, let's say, okay? I've been saying a lot here in the channel that we cannot defeat Imu right now. We need to have another round to fight where we will have as well Blackbeard, where we have maybe even Buggy and other characters like, you know, the revolutionaries as well and everything. And as we go in episodes, more and more episodes, I'm seeing this more clear and more clear, okay? So let's do, I think this obviously is in perspective, so I want to try to make it as long as possible, like this, and then it goes very big because it's in perspective, okay? Like this, like that. And we don't know how is the hill, but it has the spikes here. And we will invent this part and that's it, okay? So, Luffy is pierced, he's still transformed in Gear 5. That means that he's still holding his power there, he's not being depleted. Imu is absolutely pushing him towards one of the branches of the tree, because you need to remember that we are fighting on top of the tree, the Adam tree. And as he approaches, he pierces Luffy and the tree at the same time, having Luffy basically hanging there. And there is a very beautiful thing that happens now, that Usopp has, you know, like a flash, like he realizes there is a drop in Luffy's haki. We haven't seen Usopp's haki since Dressrosa. Okay, remember that when we are fighting Doflamingo, when we are having all this issue with the characters with Doflamingo Saga and Law, you know, Law and Luffy are in the castle and Usopp is here in the Flower Hill, and we see Sugar approaching to them to touch them. So if they are touched, they are transformed into toys. Everyone forgets about them. So Usopp is very focused in knowing that he just liberated a lot of people from that. So he wants to He wants to neutralize that character, okay? So from the distance, with his observation haki, he's able to hit the target and help Luffy unload that they're about to be touched, okay? So, we haven't seen that again, and I want to see more of that, okay? Oda, develop, please, the haki for Usopp. We want to see how he can help all the Nakamas and everyone, and how he's going to be getting more stronger. I still think it's going to be very difficult for me to change my opinion, that I still think this is Usopp saga. Usopp is going to be doing a lot of things here, and when everyone is in crisis, he's the one who steps in. I explained all of this obviously in my previous episode that I'm going to put here as well if you want to watch as well, analyzing 1188. But Usopp realizes the power has dropped in Luffy, and Nami is like, oh, what's going on? And he's like, oh, is Luffy okay? Because I could feel it. He's not talking about haki, he's not explaining anything, but like friendship, or when you have connection with someone. Oda is not focusing in haki, but this is haki basically, okay? And obviously Nami is like, no, don't joke about those things, no? And we had many instances where Luffy is losing, and Nami and Usopp, that are the two characters more, let's say, human in the whole story, in the whole manga. They are the ones aware of this problem, okay? They are the ones who are kind of believing in Luffy, and whatever happens, yes, we are gonna be there next to Luffy. I find it very beautiful, because these two guys are as well from the very beginning, like Zoro, like Sanji, and I find them very human in the sense of wanting to help but not having the tools or the abilities to help. I want them to develop more power, yes. Nami already had her power up with Zeus, so she's able to fight 1,000 times better, and I still think Ragnir is gonna end up with Usopp here, and I still think this is gonna be Usopp's saga. Basically, we know this drop in haki because Jinbei is here as well, and Jinbei is a very strong character at Ichibukai level, and he confirms, yes, the haki has dropped, and the issue I have here is that why is no one going to help? Why is no one heading over there? I would have liked more, maybe Usopp to basically fly, run as fast as he can there, or shoot at Imo to maybe stop something. That still can happen, but Usopp basically continued by doing other things, because at the same time we are in an area that Brook, Frankie, the rest of the guys are here as well. We have the block of ice in a scene, and this block is a block of ice is containing one of the bad guys, Gunko. Gunko, if you remember, we have been talking about this in many episodes, is Princess Shuri from the past, from Brook's flashback, second flashback, where we see a very beautiful relationship that they both characters have, okay? And Brook considers her like a daughter, basically. Is the daughter of the friend, of the best friend of Brook, and he is trying to save her here. He's trying to see how she awakens and is herself again, okay? So the ice is gone, and Brook obviously is kind of confirming, oh, I actually, it's you, it's Princess Shuri, I'm not confused, no? And he can see that it's obviously her. Usopp, instead of focusing in helping Luffy in this moment, he's like, hey, by the way, this is a bad guy, we shouldn't be releasing this bad guy, okay? So at the same time, characters that we completely forgot about, we have Jarundin and Gerd and Chopper, that they were in another area. They were helping the kids trapped by Sasa in that area where Sasa is. Sanji is taking over, is trying to help everyone there by attempting to defeat the guy wielding this weapon that is Qilingham, okay? So many things happening at the same time. I love when One Piece is doing these things, and that is peak One Piece basically. That is Oda typical storytelling. So I like it very much. I wanna know as well your opinion. What do you think about the stage that we are at the moment in One Piece, the distribution of fights as well, or if you will want to see maybe someone fighting more. And this is a problem I have many times. I want other guys to be able to fight at very, very high level as well, like in this case Usopp, but for example Frankie as well, Robin as well, you know, and we are not having it much. We are focusing more lately in the big three, basically, in the monster trio, that's Sanji, Zoro and Luffy, and that's okay, but I actually want as well to see the rest of the guys fighting, okay? So Oda, if for whatever reason, for whatever chance, this video ends up in your feed and you end up watching it, hello, but just give them a little bit of fight as well, or a little bit of responsibilities as well. I know 100% that while the monster trio are fighting, the others are gonna be doing completely important missions as well, like assisting, but I want to see fights again like the CP9 fights that we had in the Tower of Justice. That's my personal opinion. So, Jarundin, that just arrived flying with his ship, they crash on top of Loki, and they are like, oh my god, Loki, you are wounded, you are this and that. But this is because basically Loki was kind of okay now, but they kind of opened their wounds with this hit. Very, very funny drawings here and everything, very interesting. We can see Gert that she has the hands with wrappings, because if you remember, when Imu shows up in the other area, basically he has the fingers cut. He cuts off the fingers of Gerd, and Chopper has to help her straight away. Okay, there is no time to lose there, or she's gonna actually lose her fingers, lose her hands. So we go into a little bit of a flashback where we are in the Sasa area, okay, in town, where Jarul, I still think he looks corrupted for me. I'm gonna put my theory here, and I think he may have been manipulated. He's an older generation character where he lived like 300 years or something, so he knows stuff from before, from the past, and I think maybe unconsciously he had some negative effect in Harald and whatever happened in Elbaf after that. So I still have hope that there's gonna be some sort of explanation regarding that, but we will see. So Jarul is being good here, he's explaining, he's being like a leader here, he's telling Jarundin, you do nothing here by saving the kids, this is just a temporary save, basically. What you need to go is there with Loki and defeat that one there. So basically the bad guy that is Imu, and Sanji can handle this area basically. And Jarundin has a question that I think the translation is not correct yet. We need to wait until they have more translations, but I think Jarundin has been listening to the whole flashback with Rocks and everything together with the guys before at the beginning of Elbaf. So he knows and he has the full picture of what happened with Rocks, what happened with Harald, etc. So I think what he's asking here is this guy the one I think it is? Is this guy the one who controlled our father? Is this guy the one who, you know, Rocks wanted to fight, was kind of heading there to fight? And Loki is like, yeah, I think so. I never seen this guy myself, but yes, I feel that this is the guy. I think there is a translation. I want to see as well when I have the physical copy, when we are able to buy the physical copy in a couple of months' time when it comes out. I want to see how it comes in the translation, okay, because that's going to be very important. Sometimes when the mangas are released in the Shonen Jump, there may be some mistakes. Let's say text mistake, drawing mistake, and then Oda, before the final edition that is going to be printed in the book, in the comic, Oda can do some corrections, okay? It happened in the past that maybe we had two characters drawn in different panels that they shouldn't be, or a scar drawn in a place that it shouldn't be, and then for the correction, Oda has modified this mistake, okay? So I think here what we may see is like, you know, as I said, Jarundin saying, is this the guy? Is this our enemy? And Loki is like, yeah. So we jump into Imu, it creates another sword. We know with the sword is all infused in this darkness, infused in this dark magic, these powers and everything. As I see the way of fighting, less and less I think this is power of a specific Akuma no Mi. I think this is more going into the realms of gods and demons and, very extravagant type of power. I think it's gonna be tricky. It's gonna be tricky for Oda to explain how, if this is not an Akuma no Mi, what Imu is using, how is this power possible, okay? If it is black magic, how is something like this possible in the One Piece world? When you have a story, let's say like here in One Piece, you need to define things to set the world, no? Like we are here in the Grand Line, in the New World, the world has this shape and it has, the Grand Line around, blah, blah, blah. We have Akuma no Mis that are giving powers, giving superpowers to people. If you eat one, good. If you eat two, you may die because the demons inside, they clash. And then Oda sets the world. So when we see something like Imu now, with this darkness around Imu, when we know that he doesn't have the darkness fruit because Blackbeard has that fruit, and on top of that probably Blackbeard's fruit is going to be one of those like Luffy's fruit that probably is going to be Ito no Mi model something like Kraken or something, and then we are going to have more evolution of that fruit, but it cannot be the darkness fruit. I said as well since the very beginning that this is going to be related to Satan. There's a lot of religious connotations in how Imu is designed, behaving, acting, talking, and everything. So there is a lot of religious examples applied to this character. Okay, so the sword is infused in this crazy power. He is thinking like, oh, how many hits, how many stabs I need to do, so I kill you, Monkey D. Luffy. I hate you. Your name is hateful, basically. And you have two brothers, one of them, each one of them with different surnames, and one was killed by the Marines, the other one has, grown as a very strong character, let's say, enemy for the world government in the Revolutionary Army, basically. We know, if you remember, that the first time that we see and we learn about Imu in the Reverie and everything, where Cobra is, where the Gorosei transform into monsters, we have this moment of Sabo being there trying to save Cobra, basically, unsuccessfully, because Cobra ends up dying, but he's there trying his best, and he's spotted by Imu, he's attacked by Imu as well, and there is a lot of fight back and forth. That means that in the end of the story, when Imu is gonna be defeated, Sabo needs to have a hand in there, okay? Because the flashback with rocks and all the hate that Blackbeard may have towards Imu, Blackbeard needs to have a hand as well in defeating Imu. And now, because all these things that are happening now with Luffy, that until now we did not have any reason for Luffy to fight Imu, because of these things happening now, Luffy needs as well to have a hand in defeating Imu. So we cannot do 1 versus 1 and this is done. We need to fight Imu multiple times, and I will explain as well how this can pan better in the concept of the weapons as soon as we reach this point where we have the drawing for the weapons and everything. Okay, so for now I need to do the handle here as well, okay, like this, and probably like this, and all these spikes, basically like a rose vine that we need to draw for the sword. Very nice type of sword. So I'll talk about the sword in a second. Okay, so with Imu's attack, as it moves towards Luffy, we see how he's consuming nature, he's consuming the branches. Luffy is bleeding a lot, and he pierces Luffy a second time. Luffy is basically hanging by the sword there on the wall, on the tree. Okay, there's two swords now piercing him, and he calls this Fragarak, something like that. Okay, the sword of the god of the sea, basically. Fragarak. This is Irish mythology. Okay, and This is a sword in Irish mythology that it pierces everything. It pierces armor, it pierces everything, basically. If you read a little bit of mythology, you may know about this concept already, okay? So this sword has been wielded before, after, when it was imagined, basically, by heroes, and it's a magical sword, basically. So keep that in mind, okay? We have seen multiple swords, multiple weapons in this episode, and we are drawing weapons here as well today, okay? So we go again into another small flashback. This Elbaf saga is the saga of flashbacks. I like it because it is important. It is important for me as a reader of 30 years, but it's important for everyone reading as well every now and then. Why you will say this? You will say this because we need to understand the context of why things are happening, okay? We had many flashbacks, we have a lot of storylines in One Piece, and we may forget, okay? Maybe we are watching many things at the same time. We are watching Lord of the Rings, Naruto, we are watching Pokemon as well, we are watching 1,000 things, 1,000 series, or reading 1,000 books, and Oda needs to refresh what's happening here, okay? So we go back a little bit when Harald was killed by his son, because he was possessed basically by Imu, and he asked for this, okay? So Loki is remembering this conversation, that Gavan is there, Shanks is there, Jarul is there, and this is just straight away after Loki ate the Nidhogg fruit, the legendary fruit, okay? So there is a conversation there where Shanks is talking to him and saying, you know, I understand you are upset and you want vengeance because your father just died, because he was controlled by the enemy, but who is your enemy, basically? You can't just go and fight no one. You don't know who is the enemy, okay? So Loki, obviously he's more a little bit the brute force type of character. I wouldn't say he's that clever. I think he's just brute force, basically. He may evolve and he may grow as well. But Shanks is a very, very clever person. He's like a fox, basically. He's very clever, very cunning. So he's like, I'm not trying to stop you. As well, I want vengeance. Harald was my friend. But, you know, this is bigger than what you expected. The world government in One Piece, the Gorosei, whoever is above, and that is Imu, basically, and they want to start a war, and Elbaf is the first step, basically, to start that. And they are like, oh my god, what are you talking about? Starting a war and everything. And he says, who is your enemy? And he's like, oh, the world government is my enemy. Okay, who was controlling everything? Harald. Oh, the world government. But he doesn't know who specifically. So he says, there is a king of the world. There is Imu. He doesn't say any name, but there is a character there. At the same time, in this conversation, Scopper Gavan, you need to remember that he is one of the guys from Roger's crew. He is the left hand of the Pirate King, basically. He knows all the truth. He knows all the truth, and like Shanks learned after the truth, but Gavan learned firsthand because he was there at the end of the story and he learned everything. So he's like, you know, yeah, Shanks, no, don't talk about this because they're not gonna understand it. And he's like, doesn't matter, I'm gonna explain it anyway. I know they may not understand, but I need to explain it anyway. So he explains anyway that this is a king. And Loki is like, hee hee, haha, doesn't matter, he's a king, okay, I will kill this person and that's it. There are people before him that they try, basically, and they couldn't. They say, if this was a killable character, someone would have killed him already. And there is this mini flash of Chebek's face, okay? Super strong character. Loki, straight away, is a little bit in a shock, and he knows what Shanks is saying because there is this... There is this fanboy concept of Loki. That's why we had the flashback as well, to acknowledge how powerful Rox was, and he wasn't able to do anything, basically. And I like it, and because it gives grounding to Loki, like saying, you don't understand what I'm talking about. I'm giving you an example, like, you know, your idol, let's say. Rox couldn't actually do anything about this guy, and I like that concept, okay? What Shanks expresses here is that it's not the time yet to fight him, okay? And Loki is like, yeah, whatever, you say whatever, I'm just gonna go and kill this person. So we go back into the present time while Loki is coming out of this flashback, and as well, I think there is again, there may be here another translation mistake where Loki is saying, oh, is referring to Shanks left the country for many years. Shanks is the protector of Elbaf. Shanks 6 years ago is the one who imprisoned or locked Loki in around the tree, basically. So I think what is happening here is that Loki is referring to himself. He said, I think what he's saying is like at that point, after killing the father and trying to find who is this person that I need to defeat, he basically left the country, took some men, and became basically a emu hunter, basically. Why do I think this is the correct answer for, let's say, this panel? Because we know Loki actually left for a couple of years. He became a very notorious, let's say, pirate. He managed to get, I think it was 2.6 billion or something like that, like Jonko level reward poster for his head, basically from the government as well. So they were aware that Loki was out there trying to hunt Emu, most likely. And funny thing is that I think the one who said don't do it, that was Shanks. And I think as Shanks had the chance to see Loki again, probably in Elbaf, Shanks probably said, no, didn't I tell you not to do this because you are gonna, break our plans of we wanna do it maybe in a quiet way, and you are kind of being too, direct to fix this problem. And there I think is when he got him captured and he locked him to the tree. I think this whole conversation is referring to him disappearing from Elba for a time to go out in a hunt, not actually Shanks. That is my opinion. I want to know as well what you think, because I think it can be interpreted in different ways. At least is what I would like to see in a scenario like this. Okay, so I think what he gives us to understand is like I could never found this king that is Emu, because he's hidden in Pangea the whole time. Okay, so Gerondine decides, whatever you say, I'm with you. He has a very determined face. Gerondine is not a physically strong character for the One Piece world. Okay, we have seen him fighting in Dressrosa. We have seen him fighting as well here now, and he's a good fighter. He's a strong guy, but not what you need to defeat Emu. I would have never expected that such a secondary character, or tertiary character even, would get these plots, in the story, these storylines, this kind of entanglement with the main storyline of the story. You will see that, maybe something like someone like Buggy, Shanks, yes, but I would have never expected Gerondine to have such a screen time, I would say. Okay, maybe in movie terms it will be a screen time, in my opinion. So I want to know as well your opinion about this, how you feel about Gerondine. His words here I don't think mean much, because he's not strong enough to fight anyone at the moment, not the God's Knights, not Emu. He may, assist, like Nami can assist, or maybe like Frankie can assist. Maybe he can deliver a hit that is specifically good for maybe locking someone, or maybe someone falls and he's able to put some chains on someone to stop further attacks. Maybe I think Jarul, by sending him here to the main area, is a way of having the new king, because he's gonna end up being the king. Loki doesn't want to be the king, so this guy is gonna be being the king. So I think it's a way to have him present in the story for whatever is gonna happen going forward in the story, in my opinion. Okay, in my opinion. So. Obviously, Jinbei is like, what a weird conversation here, no? Jinbei wasn't listening the story, so he doesn't know what they are talking about, so he's kind of, yeah, whatever. We see Nami asking, oh, if the world actually has a king, what is the role of the Gorosei then? I have this theory here about Nami, and I think Nami is called Nerona Nami. I think Nami is family. He's maybe even the daughter, the direct daughter of Imu, and most likely, and she was living in 900 years past, and was teleported by Toki or by whoever can teleport at that time into the present time, that is, when her mother, Belemer, finds her. Check on that theory, because Nami is drawn all the time as a queen, okay? And not because she's gonna be the pirate queen, but because she's royalty. The whole story with One Piece now is about doing more flashbacks, more things about the Straw Hats, okay? We had more info about Sanji, we had more info about Zoro, about Luffy, about everyone. So slowly we are gonna be covering all of them. And Nami is gonna be the last one. Nami is gonna be the last one that we are gonna receive information, okay? And this is because of this. So probably even in the final fight against Imu, there exactly is where Nami is revealed to be family with Imu, okay? I know this may be controversial or funny or whatever, but I truly think there is no way that Nami is not related to Imu in this sense, okay? Let's do all of these lines here. In this heated conversation that some of the Straw Hats are having, the squirrel, okay, Ragnir is there as well, like, kuri, making some squirrel sounds and everything, and Brook is like, you are bothering me, stop bothering me, basically, because I'm trying to focus here in whatever is happening with Shuri, okay? And then Chopper translates what the squirrel is saying. I absolutely love this. I absolutely miss this Chopper. Chopper at the beginning, and there is even a movie, a OVA, where we have Chopper talking with animals, communicating. Just do that more, Oda, because it's a plot line that it was abandoned. When, apart from the beginning, apart from now, apart from just a couple of times, when did we have Chopper interacting with other animals, translating for us, helping us to the that's a superpower on itself, There are characters in other stories that their superpower is that they can talk to animals. And it's very exploited there. So here it's touched only a little bit. I think this is another sign as well of Oda telling us just Chopper is more important than we think. We have seen now the Domi Reverse issue. We have seen now how he's able to just with a slap swap those characters from bad to good. And now he's talking to the animals. So he is gonna end up being the god of nature or something like that, one of these powers. And I love it because I love Chopper and the possibilities. Chopper's transformations as well. I really like the ones that we had in the past, before, in the pre-time skip story. And I'm not much convinced about the Kung Fu and all of those ones that he has now. I think he made some of the secondary Straw Hats, like in this case Chopper, more silly, more like support characters, and he's focusing more in Luffy and in Zoro. Sanji, some of the sagas falls into support characters, some of the sagas, I think Oda is trying to pump him into main character vibes again, okay, like Zoro. And, well, we see evidently the rooftop with Kaido and everything, how Sanji is not in the rooftop, so he's not at that level yet. But anyway, I always love to see things about all the Straw Hats. So, because this translation Brooks understands, and Brooks is like, she's not dangerous, because the guy, Ragnar, is saying, I actually freeze this guy, this bad guy, do not unfreeze it, because he's a bad guy. And he's like, this character, this girl is like a daughter for me, blah, 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 and I wanna, so, Brook is being a little bit emotional here. We haven't seen him doing this much, but he must be in distress with all the things that are happening in his story. Brook's mini flashback was completely unexpected. I would have expected something more like focusing on Usopp instead of him here in Elbaf, but suddenly we're having this because the same thing I explained to you now, because we need to have all of them having some sort of second flashbacks, okay? And we have a funny moment when the squirrel is like, thinking about this is skeleton and this is a person, how is this gonna work? But this is just a gag that that Oda is doing all the time. And then Bloom, we have Nico Robin blooming from nothingness. You remember that she can duplicate her body in a range, okay? She has a range as well, let's say 200, 300, 500 meters. So she appears in front of Chopper and he says, oh, guys, I know you're having very nice and interesting conversations, but Chopper, I actually need you in the library, basically. And Saul, he was with Saul, and they were trying to find the Biblo, if you remember, the ginormous owl that can shrink and expand the size of the books there. And what may have happened here is that they found Biblo, and Biblo is a little bit damaged. I would expect something in that line, that we need Chopper because Chopper is the doctor, and because as well maybe Biblo has some information in whatever Chopper is. Remember that we do not have a specific name for Chopper's fruit yet, okay? We know that it's the Hito-Hitonomi, but model what? What human model are you gonna be? What god model are you gonna be? Okay, so probably this is Robin is the person to explain lore, and Saul as well, because the Ohara. So I think it's good if Chopper goes this way, so he can learn about himself, okay? All the things about clever stuff is for in the crew, is for both of them, for Robin and for Chopper. These are the clever guys, I would say, apart from Sanji. Sanji is the guy making plans, but these two guys are the clever ones, the ones who like to read, etc., etc. Nami as well, but more in her topic, in the making of maps, okay? So let's do, I think we have the drawing done, the line work done as well. I'm gonna add tiny bit of color, probably play with the colors here, maybe, let's say, maybe some yellows, or maybe some reds, maybe, or some blues, maybe, I don't know, or maybe with pencil, we can do some with pencil, maybe. I have a couple of colors here, and I think definitely some gold needs to be there, because this is royal, like this, and here as well, some kind of, I think, I don't know why, but I'm under the impression that this is gonna be gold and sapphires. I don't know why. Some kind of interesting green like this, maybe, is gonna be shining here, maybe, inside the sword, like it's like a specific type of material, I would say. I don't know why. It's giving me those vibes, okay? And with the sword as well, because the topic of green, and we need to have some contrast there. So I would say that most likely these tones are gonna be some kind of browns or some kind of reds, maybe. So I'm gonna just go for a little bit of red like this, okay? So Imu makes another weapon, axe, Keiten no Ono, okay? It's as well a legendary weapon that says, this weapon is used as well in some mythology, Oriental mythology, and the one who is using it as well ends up decapitated, and he keeps fighting in this mythology, he keeps fighting with his nipples. So this is actually crazy. So all these weapons are important. Luffy, again, we see him that he is badly wounded. I don't think he can come back to fight. I expressed in the previous video as well that Luffy needs to lose here, and he's not gonna be recovering. So we jump into the Viking ship where the kids are gonna be taken there. Sommers is there fighting Zoro. They are Santo Ryu attacking, and there's a clash there and everything. Conqueror's Haki clash of both of them. There is a lot of black lines here. Zoro ends up losing this clash because if you see him in the drawing afterwards, he is on the floor. So Summers managed to throw him on the floor. So that is power. And then Summers, because he talks too much, he explains what are these swords, saying, this is Gram, the sword of the fury and everything, and then, my colleague has the other one, that is the sword of the how is it called, the lance of Longinus as well, and every of the families had one of the swords, and the swords around the throne are basically possessed. In the previous episode, we have this Murasama as well, that is basically cursed swords. So I think what is happening here is that, like in a video game, the swords have demonic power. The swords are possessed, they are infused by some sort of demons, okay? That's why all of them has this sentient type of flames as well. Not only that the thing itself, the flames itself, the power itself, it's coming from the sword, but it can be given to the sword, okay, in my opinion. So I think what is happening here is this sword, he calls it the Gram sword, the sword of the fury. So in Norse mythology, there is a Gram or Grammar sword, or called as well Balmung, basically. This is a sword used by Sigurd, okay, in the Nibelungo. He's the one who kills the dragon Fafnir, okay, with this sword. So we have seen sword, legendary sword from mythology, Irish mythology. We have seen now another sword from mythology, from Norse mythology, okay. And now we have the other one with Qilingham, that is called the lance, the holy lance of Longinus, okay. Longinus, if you know about religion, is the soldier who pierced with his lance the side of Jesus when he was on the cross, okay? In that story as well, in that part of the Bible. So basically, all the swords are coming from mythology. All of the swords are swords of legend, okay? I'm saying swords because they are mentioning them as swords. It doesn't matter if it is a lance, a hammer, or whatever. It is always mentioned as swords like that. So, the thing is, what if, like in a video game, sometimes when you are fighting the final boss, you need to defeat the boss multiple times? And what if, because there are 20 weapons around the throne, no? From the 20 original kings that join forces and say, oh, we are all equal, there is no kings, this is our promise, basically. What if all of these, let's say, covenant, it's a demonic covenant basically at the end of the day, an Imutu cover, but what we need to do is destroy each one of these weapons, okay? Let's say, okay, and this is the theory part of the video. Let's say for a second that Luffy is defeated, okay? He cannot go back to business and fight, and for whatever reason, there is a Zoro awakening, that Zoro manages to defeat Sommers. Not to kill him, but to defeat him, okay? Or maybe to break his sword. And then we have the same with Sanji. Sanji, it is already a character that we kind of get introduced into the concept of, yes, soon Sanji is going to be awakening Konkurosaki as well. If Sanji does that and he awakens Konkurosaki and with a kick manages to break the lance and the demon inside this weapon vanishes or dies, basically, it could be very interesting. That means that, let's say that Imu has 10 lives. The number of swords that we have on the throne is the lives that Imu is gonna have. And because Zoro defeated one, that is one life less. Sanji defeats this one, that is one life less more, okay? Maybe now, for whatever reason, Jarundini is able to defeat the other one, the Framarak, and it could be in that way, okay? This will give us what I said at the beginning, multiple characters being able to fight Imu and defeat Imu in one way or another, okay? And then Luffy to come back and fight again to the final fight, when it's the final life, and defeat Imu in that instance. I think there is a lot of video game concept in One Piece. There is a lot of video game concept as well in Elbaf. If you remember at the very beginning of Elbaf, we start with this fake Elbaf, this fake sun god, this fake ruler and everything, you know, before we have all this mess with the God's Knights and with Imo and everything, and with the kidnapping of the kids. And I already suggested there, this is not the real Elbaf, and it was true. I said this is like a game. This is like a game, that we need to pass this game and then go into the proper fight, okay? And this is what happens. I think this is the same. I think we need to have specific characters that are gonna break these weapons. By breaking each one of the weapons, Imu is gonna be getting weaker and weaker, so Luffy can actually fight. This is something that this not power that Imu has, okay? This is like, let's imagine in a normal fight that the enemy is fighting with a sword and the good guy is fighting only with punches, basically, okay? And we say, oh, we're gonna fight equal. Well, we're not gonna fight equal because you have a weapon, I don't have a weapon. So you need to release that weapon, defeat that weapon first, and then defeat the guy, you know, with punches, basically. This may happen. Imu is the last image of this panel, basically. Imu attempts to kill Luffy here, okay? So, as you can see, the shape of the drawing is that Imu is going for the head, he has to take out Luffy's head. And as the weapon, the axe, is close and close, and then Copacabana suddenly jumps in the middle. Copacabana was out of commission, or Copacabana was as well with Chopper's group, with Jarundine group, so means that he arrived with them now when they fell where Loki was. So straight away, this I can see for the tension of the moment that there may be sacrifices here. I see Copacabana being maybe badly wounded or even die here. I still think he is the man marked by flames, and I'm gonna put my theory here if I can still put one more tag there for you to check. We need another training scenario for Luffy like he did with Rayleigh. Maybe, you know, Copacabana can give him some training here, but it is difficult. What is happening at the moment is difficult. So there is no one, as I said, no one, apart from Gavan here, as you can see, that can clash with Imu. If you tell me this yesterday, I would have said there is no one who can stop Imu, because Gavan was wounded, okay? And he was doing nothing. I thought maybe just later he's gonna come back into life and he's gonna be, you know, helping us in this or in that. But now that he is there in the middle, trying to stop Imu, yeah, there may be a clash or two, while maybe someone can take Luffy from there, because he's impaled there, basically. And I would say Usopp needs to start moving already. I don't know what he's doing there with Brook and the rest of the guys. Usopp is the one who needs to go there to the other side and help Luffy, okay? That's what we want. And at the same time, Gunko, when Gunko is gonna wake up, Gunko, I think, as I said multiple times, I think she is the one who needs to teleport somehow Imu back, okay? Imu is wounded, ill, sick. Imu has a problem. The life is leaving. The life that he has is leaving his body. When he arrives into Elbaf, he's spitting blood, meaning this character is weak, okay? It's a lot of power still in Imu, and a lot of it is these black flames that are being controlled by him, but we can see that those black flames as well are sentient, okay? So this is borrowed power. I don't think this is power from Imu itself. So it could be interesting. It could be interesting that Princess Shuri now is not Gunko anymore. Princess Shuri, to save Brook and to save Brook's friends, is gonna, let's say, grab Imu, teleport Imu back into Pangea, into Marejua, because the time that they have is running out. And because of this, then you have Qilingham and Sommers with these magical swords that they lost their blackness, this power that they have around, the stigma power that they have around. They lost it because I think there is a range as well in this. Why I think Oda is teleporting Nico Robin, you know, making Robin create his doppelganger when they are like 50 meters distance? Because the range. I think this is about the range. Like Boggy has 200 meters that he can walk, and then the pieces of his body, bloop, they fall. I think this is the same. As soon as Imu moves back to Pangea and the Holy Knights stay here, they are gonna lose the darkness, the power that Imu has given them. And because of this, they will be again at a normal level, at warrior level, but not a level that it's a god-like type of power, like superpower like gods. And then is when Zoro and Sanji are going to be able to break these weapons, in my opinion. I like this concept of breaking weapons, and as well, if you remember what happens in Little Garden when Dory and Brogy are fighting at the end, and you know, they say the goodbyes and they are fighting. They throw the attack to make a hole in the golden fish, in the goldfish. When they throw the attack, the weapons, because are heavily used, they break, those weapons break completely. So something like that, it will be nice, like a Santo Ryu and a Diablo Jambe type of attack combined both at the same time. It will be both at the same time in the drawing. They defeat the characters while they lose the flames and they break those weapons. That making in Pangea, Imu maybe fall kneeling like, oh my god, you know, I feel how my weapons, this kind of covenant is being defeated. I have now 2 lives less. Okay? I still think as well about the concept of the vessel. Maybe if Imu is able to maybe jump into Princess Shuri's body, like a little bit like Orochimaru in Naruto, maybe it's refreshed and the powers come back, okay? But not the lives. That's my opinion. How many swords we said there are around the throne? 20 kings, 20 kingdoms, 20 lives. Yeah, 20 times that we need to defeat Imu. Not Imu itself or himself, but the weapons. In this case, defeat Sommers, 1. Defeat Qilingham, 2. Defeat Garling, 3. Defeat another Gorosei, 4. Defeat, you know, another person that is given a weapon from this. Again, 1 for Sabo, 1 for Blackbeard, 1 for Dragon, okay? And we need to see these things happening now. We don't have much time. And yeah, so this is kind of my analysis of the episode, what I can read so far of the episode. Gavan is an old glory, so he's just gonna hold the fort until someone can take out Luffy from there. Luffy is still in gear 5, that means that he has still power. I wouldn't like to have Luffy like himself just releasing, you know, like taking the swords out, or maybe just cartoony melting outside of them, like in a cartoon, and that's it, and he's okay. I want him as well in gear 5, like we are seeing here. He being vulnerable, that he can be defeated, that his power has a top as well. And as I explained in my previous video, talking about the genie, okay, and the magic and the shackles that the genie holds, I think Luffy is not yet aware of what power does he actually have. He thinks Gomu Gomu. It is not Gomu Gomu, it is the Nika fruit. So Luffy needs to have a awareness concept and realize of the true power that he holds to be able to use it properly. Okay, if you have a weapon that is in this case a devil fruit in One Piece and you don't know how to use it, is not good. You need to learn how to use that weapon, no? In this case, your power, your superpower as a Nika user, okay? Even if, not saying that Luffy is gonna lose himself, he could lose himself for a little bit here, as I said, and we could see a moment where, like in Thillerbark Saga, because, you know, it could be very interesting, where Joy Boy or Nika, the god of destruction, the bad side of this kind of god, takes over, and he starts going crazy there, and then, you know, Zoro, etc. They need to, all of them, kind of control or contain Luffy and to make him come back to reality, come back to himself, okay? This is obviously an example because we have seen in Impel Down, and I've seen this 1,000 times. The Impel Down jailers is actually one of my first videos in the channel that I'm gonna put here as well if I can. Talking about Ruchi being in the situation like the fruit is gonna take over, and there is a way to control this. We have seen it, yes, in Water 7 in Enies Lobby Saga, where Chopper is taken over by the fruit. He loses control, he becomes a monster like the jailers, and Frankie takes him underwater, the water reduces him, something like this here in Elbaf. I would absolutely love it, because what are the problems with the Akuma no Mis? We are not seeing any problem. Yes, you can't swim, but yeah, you know, but what are the problems, the real problems? I'm scared, you know, let's say that this is real, the fruit is real, I'm scared, because what if my will is not strong enough and the fruit is gonna take over? That is a problem that we haven't talked here in One Piece, and I would love to see that. I would love to see more specifically Zoan, because we have seen that the Zoan fruits are the ones who are doing this in Impel Down. We don't know if Paramecia can do that. We don't know if Logia. Well, imagine if you have the fire fruit and the fire itself is gonna take over your body because you are not strong enough. You don't have a strong will, and you become fire and you disappear. That would be very poetic as well. Very poetic as well. And we could see this with bad guys, no? That Oda wants to eliminate, he doesn't know how, or imagine, you know, the magma fruit is taking over Akaino's body, and because they are not aligned, the magma power is too strong, and he becomes volcano, and he disappears as well, you know, like consumed by his own power. That could be interesting concept as well to explore. So I still think, as I said, I still think this may happen. And if it happens, it needs to happen with Luffy, in my opinion, okay? I want to know what you think. I know it's a little bit crazy idea, but put it in the show more section, in the comment section down below, and we can talk about it, okay? So I think we finished for today. Let's sign here, for example, on the side. This is DavidViadel23, DavidViadel23. You can say it as you want, and this is the Mandrago's Cave. I hope you enjoyed the drawing of the swords, as well the analysis of the One Piece chapter 1189, and the drawing and the theory. Round episode next week. Next week? No, the following one. There is a break. So in the round episode, something big is gonna happen. Okay, something big is gonna happen. Just keep an eye on that. Okay. Thank you very much. See you later. Bye.